Chapter 24, Naomi. What were we supposed to think? First, Cap gets crushed by the entire football team and the coaches practically have to carry him to the nurse. 3 hours later, he gets decked by Daryl Pennyfield. I'm never speaking to him again. Next thing you know, he's being taken away by ambulance. I hadn't seen him since. Okay, for the first couple of days, nobody was surprised Cap was absent from school. He was hurting. Who wouldn't be? Then the weekend, the Condors game on Saturday. Well, who would blame him for blowing off that event after what the team did to him? Lena only went because she's a cheerleader, and she said it was the lousiest turnout she'd ever seen for a Condors-Raiders match. See Average and Rhinefield battle to a 3-3 tie in case you're one of the few who cares. Serves those jerks right. Anyway, I figured I'd catch Cap on Monday. Wrong. And by Tuesday, I was getting worried. It was almost a full week since anyone had laid eyes on the 8th grade president. Okay, I was extra upset because Cap was extra special to me. But everyone was talking about it. You'd see a bunch of kids in a huddle in the hall, and you didn't have to eavesdrop to figure out the topic of conversation. Where was Cap? Why hadn't he come back yet? Could he be really hurt? The custodians were still trying to scrub his blood off the terrazzo in the corridor where the big punch had been thrown. He must have been in bad shape. What else would keep him away from what was brewing between the two of us? To be continued. I meant that. This wasn't another shallow middle school crush like the one I'd had on Zach. This was a relationship. And besides, the Halloween dance was on Saturday night. Cap had to realize we could never pull it off without him. When I asked Mrs. Vogel, my homeroom teacher, she replied, I don't think Cap Anderson is a student here anymore. What? She might as well have told me that the school was slated for demolition with all of us inside of it. Of course he's a student. He's the 8th grade president. She looked uncomfortable. I don't want to argue with you, Naomi. I've told you what I know. I'm going to ask Mr. Kosigi, I stormed. Who do you think told me? She said, not unkindly. Mr. Kosigi held an emergency staff meeting to bring the teachers up to speed. I don't recommend that you mention Cap's name to him. He gets very emotional on the subject. But the dance is Saturday night. Who's going to run it if Cap isn't here? She wouldn't look me in the eye. The announcement is going to be made at lunch. The dance has been canceled. I felt like I'd been hit in the stomach with a 2x4. You can't be serious. She was serious enough to kick me out of the room. By the time I staggered into the hall, the first of the notices had been posted. Due to unfortunate circumstances, the Halloween dance has been called off. As you can imagine, the chaos was rising. There was only one middle school in Claveridge. Our neighbors had all gone here, the older brothers and sisters. All of our parents had attended C Average, and there had always been a Halloween dance. They can't cancel the dance, wailed Tiffany Peterson. It's a tradition. They can and did, Lena said darkly. Kosigi's such a jerk. He spends the week partying at some fancy convention and then comes home to pull the plug on anybody else having fun. But it's our trademark, Tiffany persisted. The elementaries have holiday pageants. The high schools have homecoming. Halloween is our thing. How can Mr. Kosigi do this to us? Zach puts his 2 cents in. Kosigi isn't the problem. Since when do the teachers have much say about what goes on in this place? You're ignoring the obvious. The dance got canceled because Cap screwed up somehow. How do you figure that? Asked Lena. The details are all set and Cap isn't even here. Exactly, Zach agreed. It's his party. Where is he? I jumped on that so fast the wind should have knocked him over. Where is he? It was your precious football team that tried to put him through the crust of the earth, and don't forget the punch that leveled him was meant for you. He shrugged. It's not my fault Pennyfield's gone over the edge. Nothing's ever your fault, I snarled at him. When you couldn't use Cap as your clown, you tried to make him your crash test dummy. I've had it up to here with you, Zach Powers. You and I are through. As rattled as I was, I took some satisfaction in the expression of total shock on his face. I laid it on even thicker. Did it ever occur to you that unfortunate circumstances might not just be a lame excuse? What if it means, well, what could it mean? No one has the guts to say. But it was in everybody's thoughts. Stone-faced Mr. Kosigi couldn't hear Cap's name because it made him too emotional. What unfortunate circumstances could cause that? Add to the fact that Cap had dropped off the face of the earth. Let's get to the bottom of this, Lena decided. Good old Lena. She was a tough nut, but she could be so sensible sometimes. Plus, she had tons of connections. Everybody seemed to owe her a favor. Phil Ruiz helped out around the office, so Lena made it his job to get into student records and pull Cap's file. He snuck the folder out in the kangaroo pocket of his hooded sweatshirt and showed it to us in the stairwell. This was what it contained. Nothing. No papers, no grades, no test scores, not so much as an index card. How is it possible to have an empty file? Lena demanded. It isn't, Phil told her. It should have transcripts, transfer forms from his old school, and emergency contact. That's what we need, I exploded. We have to contact him. This is an emergency. Don't worry, Lena said darkly. Somebody must have his address. I rode the same bus as Cap, but my stop was before his, so I had no idea where he got off. We couldn't find anybody who knew which house was his. Then at last, a breakthrough. Olivia Weintraub had a brother who had once dated a girl named Sophie Donnelly. He had talked about a long-haired 60s type staying with the Donnellys. It only could have been Cap. Lena and I took Cap's bus after school and found the right house. A well-kept split level on a quiet side street. Just the thought that he lived and slept here made me feel warm inside. I was positive we had the right place. This is it, Lena confirmed. 191 Rockcrest. As we marched up the walk to the front door, the window of a car parked in the driveway whispered open. A very pretty high school girl leaned out and called, "Something I can do for you?" "Does Cap Anderson live here?" I asked anxiously. "No." She started to roll the window up again. The passenger door opened and an older lady got out. "You girls are too late. Cap is no longer at this address." You could hear she was choosing her words carefully. "Well," Lena persisted, "can you tell us where he is now?" "I'm afraid that's not possible." "But why?" I wailed. "We really need to talk to him." The daughter lowered her window again. "My driving test is the day after tomorrow. We're busy." "Sorry, girls," the mother added. "I'm sure you're just friends with the best of intentions, but a lot of things have happened that I'm not at liberty to talk about." She got back inside and shut the door. "Can you just give us his phone number?" I begged. The teenager gave me an odd smile. "Where he is, they don't have a phone." They drove away, leaving us standing on their doorstep stunned. Finally, Lena spoke, her voice subdued. "I think I might know why we can't find Cap." Meltdown. That's the only word to describe my state of mind. For months I'd been wandering the desert, throwing myself at the undeserving creep Zach. Now finally I understood my true feelings, and it was too late. Up until that moment, no one had dared to speak the awful words out loud, but I couldn't keep them bottled any longer. What if he's dead?